Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious oven-baked chicken with yellow rice and green beans. Now, I know some of y'all probably thinking, well, Charlie, what do you use to make the yellow rice and the green beans? Well, first things first, we make a homemade chicken stock from scratch. And we take the pan juices from the oven-baked chicken and we use both of those to make the yellow rice and the green beans. Still going to be really flavorful. This recipe serves about close to 6 to 8 people. It's quite a bit. Not only is it healthier, full of flavor, absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all what you'll need to make your oven-baked chicken with yellow rice and green beans. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need 5 pounds of chicken. You'll need 3 pounds for your oven-baked chicken and 2 additional pounds of chicken, as we're going to make a delicious chicken stock with this. And along with that, you'll need any type of long grain rice. I'm going to be using jasmine rice, 2 pounds of fresh green beans, and some salted butter. And for your seasonings, you'll need some salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. You can also use Zatarain's Creole seasoning, or the Slapping Mama Cajun seasoning, Chef Paul Prud'homme's poultry, and vegetable magic. I'll have the link to where you can purchase these seasonings in the description box. And along with that, you will need some onion powder, garlic powder, and some ground turmeric. And for your additional seasoning, you will need 1 large yellow onion, some green onion, green and red bell peppers, garlic, some dried oregano, dried thyme, and some fresh bay leaves. And to bake your chicken, you will need a regular standard 9 by 12 inch glass or metal pan. And there we have it. Alright, let's get straight to it. So we're going to get started by chopping up 1 yellow onion. As far as our green onions go, we're going to start by chopping up the ends to our green onions, the scallions. We're going to chop that first. That's the only part we're going to chop, okay? Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and rinse off my greens and my red bell pepper. Now you want to make sure you remove the core out of the center of your bell peppers before you chop them. Now I'm going to chop half of the green bell pepper and I'm going to chop half of the red bell pepper. Alright, here I have 5 cloves of garlic. I've taken them and cut them in half. And we're going to chop this up until it is minced. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and add my fresh green beans into this mesh strainer. And I'm going to just rinse my green beans off with cold water. Now, as far as my green beans go, I'm just going to leave them as is. I'm not going to cut them or snap them or anything like that. Now, if you want to do that, that is entirely up to you, alright? Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken into the strainer. Now I'm going to rinse the chicken off with cold water. And I like to do this step to rinse off any blood or particles that might be on the chicken. Now you don't have to do this step if you don't want to. Now if your chicken has any type of excessive fat or anything like that, you're just going to trim that off. Alright, let's make our raw marinade. So in a food processor, we're going to add 1/3 cup of chopped yellow onion, 1 tablespoon of our chopped scallions, the green onion ends, 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, and 1 tablespoon of melted salted butter. Now I'm going to blend this until this mixture is creamy and smooth. I let this blend for about 1 minute, and this is how it looks when we're done. As you can see, that's nice and pureed. Exactly what we're looking for. Alright, here we have our 3 pounds of chicken for our oven baked chicken. So we're just going to take our onion and garlic mixture and we just add that onto the chicken. Now I'm going to add a little bit more seasoning. Just add at least about a half a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's, a half a teaspoon of Chef Paul Prud'homme's Fortune Magic, and about 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. Now I'm going to just take my hands, I'm just going to coat all these seasonings onto the chicken. Now I'm going to cover this. Now I'm going to let this marinate in my refrigerator overnight, or you could let it marinate for 4 hours. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350 degrees. Now I'm going to go ahead and lightly butter the bottom of my baking pan. And now we're going to add our chicken, which we marinated overnight, into the baking pan. Since I have a little bit of this onion garlic mixture, I'm going to just add that into the pan as well. Now as a little final garnish, we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of, tiny bit of the Tony Chachere's, just a little bit. And spread a little bit on the back of the chicken as well. Now we're going to sprinkle some Chef Paul Prud'homme's Fortune Magic, just a little bit. Now we're going to sprinkle some dried oregano. And make sure you sprinkle this on both sides of the chicken. And some dried thyme. Just lightly sprinkle. Now I cubed about 2 tablespoons of salted butter here. And I'm going to just place that around my baking pan. Put some in the middle. There we go. Now it is ready to be baked. Now before we bake our chicken, I just want to let you all know that baking times vary depending on the size of the chicken. Now chances are if your chicken is much bigger than this, it's going to take more time to bake. If it's smaller, it's going to take less time. Alright, so keep all that in mind. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and place the chicken into a preheated 350 degree oven on the bottom rack. And I'm going to bake this for 1 hour and 10 minutes. Now remember, if there are larger pieces, you probably have to bake that for an additional 5 to 10 minutes or possibly more. Okay, so you want to keep all that in mind. Alright, here we have our medium-sized bowl with our 2 pounds of chicken for our chicken stock. So now we're going to add about a half a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and a half a teaspoon of our dried thyme. I'm going to just coat the seasonings onto the chicken with my hands. You just want a little seasoning, we don't want too much. Preheat your fire to medium-high heat. Alright, so in this large saucepan, we're going to spread about 1 tablespoon of salted butter. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the chicken pieces right on in there. And I'm going to let these sear for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. Now we're going to add 3 quarts of water. Alright, now let's go ahead and add some seasoning. We're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt, about 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prud'homme's Fortune Magic, a half a teaspoon of dried thyme, a half a teaspoon of dried oregano, and for our additional seasonings, we're just going to add 1/4 cup of the chopped yellow onion, about 1/8 cup of our chopped green onion. And I actually have some green onion from when I cut. Separate from that, I'm gonna just go ahead and add that in there too. And to that, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic. Now I'm gonna go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now I forgot to mention this, that you're gonna add 3 bay leaves in there. Now we're gonna go ahead and cover this. And I'm gonna let this simmer until it cooks all the way down and it has a wonderful chicken flavor. And I'm gonna let y'all know the cooking time once it's done. All right, it's been about 30 minutes now. Let's go ahead and check on our chicken. Just pour this out. All right, here I have a pastry brush and I'm gonna just dip it into the pan juices, and I'm just gonna baste the chicken with the pan juices. Place this back into the oven, and I'm gonna let it bake for an additional 40 minutes. Now remember, baking times vary depending on the size of the chicken, and make sure you come back and baste it at least every 20 minutes after this, okay? All right, it's been about 1 hour and 10 minutes for our chicken. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. Alright, now that our chicken is done, now you're going to let this cool for about 20 minutes before serving. That way those flavors can settle and increase. But if you're not serving it right now and you still have to prepare all your other items, you can just cover it with aluminum foil and then serve it within an hour. It'll still be warm. And I forgot to mention this, that as for the pan juices right here that you see right here, do not throw that away. We're going to reuse that for our other dishes, okay? Alright, it's been about 1 hour and 30 minutes now. And our chicken stock is now done. And as you can see, our chicken pieces are literally almost falling off the bone here. Turn your fire off. Alright, we're going to add our chicken stock into this mesh strainer with a medium-sized bowl underneath it. Now as for the chicken pieces that you have in here, you could take the meat off the bone and you could do many things with this. You could take the meat and add it into a dressing, or you could take it and make some chicken salad sandwiches with this. I have the links to that video in the description box if you want to check that out. And there we have it, homemade chicken stock made from scratch. Now you should have about 5.5 cups of chicken stock in here, okay? At least that amount. Preheat your fire to medium-high heat. Alright, let's get started with our yellow rice. Now remember, those pan juices I told you to reserve from your baked chicken? You're going to add 3 tablespoons of that in here. I'm going to just spread that around. Now let's add some seasoning. We're going to add 1/4 cup of our chopped yellow onion, 1/4 cup of our chopped scallions, that's the green onion end, 1/3 cup of our chopped green bell pepper, 1/3 cup of our chopped red bell pepper, and 1 tablespoon of our chopped garlic. And give this a quick stir. Now I'm going to let this simmer for about 6 minutes, stirring occasionally. Now we're going to add 3 1/2 cups of our homemade chicken stock. Now let's just add, we're going to add a little seasoning. We're going to sprinkle about 1/8 teaspoon of salt, about 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, about a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 1/2 teaspoons of turmeric. Now I'm just going to give this a quick stir. And that's going to make our rice yellow. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my fire down from medium high to medium low heat. Alright, now we're going to add 2 cups of rice. The rice is raw, of course, just in case if you were wondering. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now we're going to cover this. Now you're going to let this cook all the way down for about 18 to 20 minutes on a medium low to low temperature. Do not stir this at all at any given time during those 18 to 20 minutes. Just let it cook down. Alright? Alright, it's been about 18 to 20 minutes now. And as you can see, most of the liquid has evaporated. You might have a little bit left sitting at the bottom. That's mostly comes from the fat and everything, from the chicken and everything. Turn your fire off. Now, do not stir this at the moment. You're going to wait about 10 to 15 minutes. Then from there, then you can stir it. It's all about patience when it comes to cooking. So I'm going to just let this set and let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes before I stir it. Right. Now let's go ahead and stir it now. As you can see, night rice is nice and well cooked, not overcooked at all, not gummy or anything. And now your rice is ready to be served. Now this rice is best served the very next day, so that way the flavors can settle and increase overnight, but you can serve it right away. Just give it some time to cool off a little bit because it's still very hot. That's it. Preheat your fire to medium-high heat. Alright, let's get started with making our green beans. So in this large saucepan, remember our pan juices from our baked chicken. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of that in here. Just spread that around. Alright, now let's add some seasoning. We're going to add a half a cup of chopped yellow onion. And to that, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now I'm going to let this saute for about 6 minutes, stirring occasionally. Add 2 cups of chicken stock. Now let's add a little bit of seasoning, just a little bit. We're just going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt, about 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper, a half a teaspoon of onion powder, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and about a half a teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's vegetable magic. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the green beans. Now I'm going to go ahead and cover this. And I'm going to just let this cook all the way down. And I'm going to let you know the cooking time once it's done. Alright, it's been about 20 minutes now for our green beans. And they are done. Look at that. As you can see, they cooked in that nice, wonderful, flavorful chicken stock. It's going to give them a wonderful, delicious flavor. Turn your fire off. Alright, now you're going to let these cool for about 15 minutes before serving, so that way the flavors can settle and increase. You can also serve this the very next day, so that way the flavors can also settle and increase overnight, and that way they're much better tasting the very next day, and your meal is complete. Now it's time to go ahead and take a bite. I don't know where to start. I'm going to start with the chicken first. Oh, look at that. yellow rice. Not for the green bean. Y'all, it's really good. The chicken is nice, flavorful, well seasoned, good. The yellow rice, it has a wonderful chicken flavor from that chicken stock because it's concentrated, and you can taste the flavor of all the seasonings that we added, and a little hint of that turmeric. It's really good. And the green beans, remember we made the chicken stock with that too? So if the yellow rice is flavorful, the green beans is flavorful too. It has a wonderful flavor, and all those seasons that we added. Overall, this meal is absolutely flavorful and delicious. So give the recipe a try. Hey y'all, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. I have an official website for all of my recipes, including this fabulous oven baked chicken with yellow rice and green beans recipe. You can go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. So until next time, take care, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.